Hey there, I'm Mark.
I'm Evan.
And on this week's podcast episode, we talk about embarrassing moments.
Gaining courage.
And why Mark's way sucks.
Well, it's just a little slow. I want to give you a shortcut.
Hello. How are you doing?
Great, Mark.
Excellent. Let's get going.
Yep.
Welcome to the Something to Prove podcast with Mr. Evan Carmichael and Mark Drager. We record a podcast every week. We usually do it on Thursdays, not Tuesdays. We usually do it on Zoom, not on IG Live. Everything usually works. Today is just upside down day, isn't it?
Okay, kick us off, Mark.
Excellent. We usually catch up first. So we're going to catch up. We're going to then hit a topic, and then we will answer a few questions later on as well. Evan, I was thinking about this. The downside to you and I speaking so often lately, like multiple times per day, is there really anything even to catch up on for our podcast listeners?
I don't know. You tell me. I just follow, dude. I follow. I show up. You tell me what to say, and we do it. Well, you don't tell me what to say. You prompt, and then we go. But
I'm going to go to a different room, actually, because it's just, it's terrible internet right here.
Mark's focus on quality. Here he goes. Okay. Yeah, you've been cutting in and out and lagging and all sorts of amazing. Okay.
Let's see. Is this better? Do I look better?
So far, so good.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I'll just sit randomly over here in our boardroom.
Okay, perfect.
Anyway, what's going on, Evan? Update me.
Well, I'm leaving today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, for Puerto Rico.
Oh, right. That's exciting.
This is the last thing I'm doing. Like, I have to leave. I have to have a shower and then leave right after this.
Okay.
Like ASAP. And so we had to fit the Something to Prove podcast in. It's the last thing I'm doing. I haven't even recorded videos for my YouTube channel, which is what I'm supposed to be doing today. But I'm using this time to film the Something to Prove podcast, hop into the shower, quick, washy, and then head out to the airport.
quick, washy. Wow.
And hopefully I got. Actually, let me see. Yeah, I can take you with me. Hold on. Since we're
I just
mobile.
took you guys all for a ride through my office.
Since we're mobile. Hold on. Okay, so we got rejected at the border, right, for our tour. So now I'm probably on some, blacklist that they're gonna hate. So we got a custom letter from Brendan Burchard. That's
nice.
He's got. What are you doing? Are you working? What are you doing, Mark? What are you looking at? You looking down?
I'm taking notes for things I can bring back up later in the podcast.
Okay, good. So we got our letter here from Brendan Burchard, and then we got another letter from my lawyer, and so this is what I need to bring with me to the airport to talk to border security.
You're going for non-commercial reasons.
Yeah, all this
non-money making opportunities, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, Brendan's is a lot more understandable. The lawyer's is according to section blah blah blah. All right, whatever. Yeah, it's very detailed and lawyer-esque. Mark is crashing out. Mark is crashing out big time. Okay, there we go.
Crashing out.
He's back.
What is going on here? Okay, here, watch this. We'll go off of...
Oh, now we just lost him completely. Oh, okay, now he's back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just turned the Wi-Fi off and went data only.
Great. Perfect.
Okay, I need it.
Okay.
Louis telling me that he booked this room at 1 o'clock and I stole it.
Okay,
and
great.
I told him it doesn't matter, I need it. Anyway, do I look better now, people?
This is great. This looks better, sounds better. The problem is the internet at Phantom Media. We need to get an upgrade.
It's the Wi-Fi's. It's all of the Wi-Fi's everywhere. So are you going to, I want to know, by the time this was released, of course, this will be ancient history, but for me, who's thinking about the future, will you be sharing IG stories to keep us posted with how things progress?
I already posted, yes. So I already posted I need to pack, and I got my letters here, and I'm nervous.
I care more about making it across U.S. Customs at Pearson.
Yeah, well, I'm going to. I mean, it's going to be... I'll probably do one about, okay, I'm here at the airport, ready to go, I'm nervous, whatever. I'm legit nervous about this because it ruins a lot of plans if I can't get across. I mean, I'll be able to get across in April when everything is finished, but that's too late, man. We got stuff to do. April is
2030.
April. Exactly. So, yeah, and then I'll do a story on the other side, hopefully on the other side, to say, I did it, we did it, we did it! you know, but
fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. We'll see.
I'm hoping for you. So here's something that I wanted to talk to you about today.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk about embarrassing moments or embarrassing yourself or feeling embarrassed.
Okay.
Which really comes down to the fear. Like, so embarrassment to me is you don't do things because you're terrified you will embarrass yourself.
Right.
You never start, you never get started, or you play small so that way you don't.
Yeah.
Or there's the flip side of it when you make a mistake or you do something wrong or you unintentionally, hurt someone or piss them off, and you are just so embarrassed and full of shame that happened.
Okay.
What do you do with it in that moment? So, one, this could be a fun topic because we could talk about embarrassing stories.
Okay.
Or we could just help people by talking about how the fear of embarrassment keeps you from doing great things, and then what do you do with yourself after you have embarrassed yourself?
Okay.
Initial thoughts on that?
I would put those into two different buckets. So the one is I'm afraid to do something because I might embarrass myself. Two then is I have embarrassed myself. Even if you didn't think you would embarrass yourself, but you did, how to kind of recover and bounce back from it. So
yeah.
The second one is actually easier.
Is it? It feels more painful.
It is painful, but I think everything is salvageable because the intent was never to. If it's just you looking stupid, whatever. Like, great, get used to it. But if you made your client look stupid or somebody around you look stupid or a misunderstanding, then I think everything is savable. It's the intent was always positive. You didn't go into it trying to screw this person over. And so because that wasn't the intent, there's just a communication difference that then can be overcome through communication. And you do whatever needs to be done to make it up, right? I think everything is always savable as long as the intent is positive. Just do your best to make it up. But that doesn't happen that often. Like, how often are you actually embarrassed by what you did for somebody or didn't do for somebody, or, right? I mean, it happens, but once a year, once every 6 months, I don't know. Like, how often is it happening to you, Mark, that you embarrass yourself for a client?
For me, there are lots of uncomfortable moments where I feel embarrassed. Yes, I would say maybe not that I've embarrassed a client, but that I'm embarrassed that I let something slide, or that I didn't see it before, or that I said something that was taken the wrong way and I never even thought it would be taken the wrong way, or more ridiculous situations. Like a few years ago, I was volunteering at my church, and we were ripping out the children's section to build a new children's section for them. And I was up on a ladder hammering this board, and the board flew down, hit a 70-year-old deacon in the nose, knocked him out, knocked him over, almost broke his nose, and I still feel terrible. I apologize, and I just feel terrible about it. There's lots of things I do.
Okay, but do
you not embarrass yourself? Do you not feel like a sense of like, how could I have let that happen? Why did I make that decision? Why did I do that?
Have you ever not made it up to the person?
I try, but you never know.
Yeah, but have you ever, like, let's look at even the worst case.
You always got to make things right.
Look at the deacon.
Just 2 weeks ago, in the same church parking lot, I accidentally drove into someone else's car while leaving with my truck, with my kids in the car, and I went, I think I just hit someone else's car.
Okay.
And I left a note, and these people were like so grateful that I left a note. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I wrecked your thing. I have to make it right. Like,
yeah. Okay. Great.
I have to make it right. So that's still, it's still embarrassing.
Great. But the question is, what do you do? Well, what you do is you solve it. You go fix the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't make. Yeah, you do that and you try to make it right with them, but it doesn't make you feel any better about yourself for either being so blind to not seeing it before, or for making the decisions that you made, or any of that stuff that I just described. In those times, in those moments where you have a light bulb go off and you go, holy smokes, this is what I should have been doing. Why didn't I do this before?
No.
Or I never should have said that. Why did I think that was a good idea? Like those are things where you can feel embarrassed that the old you thought that was acceptable.
No, not embarrassed.
Okay, shameful,
No.
embarrassed.
No, none of that.
Beat yourself up.
No, you did the best with what you had. Now, can you learn from it? Great. Like, if this happens again, maybe when I'm backing out of the parking lot at church, I'm going to look behind me and see if there's a car. You know, like that might be a good thing to do. You learn from it, right?
Hey, maybe when I'm trying to cross the border, I don't wrap my Porsche in gold and then say, look at me, I have my name on the side of the vehicle.
Exactly, right? Great, lesson learned. But I'm not saying, oh man, I can't believe that I sucked and I did. No, like that's stupid, waste of time.
Well, that's the difference between you and me.
No, that's the difference between people who live in the past and people who are present and future focused. And you're on the continuum. So what do? You solve the problem, you make it up to the person. Often it ends up even making the relationship better. Like if you messed up for a client and then you make it up to them way above and beyond what was expected, it could lead to a stronger relationship than otherwise. So if you embarrass a client, you go fix it. If you embarrass yourself in front of somebody, do you need to fix it? If it's just because you screwed up and you fell on your face on an ice patch and everybody laughed at you, okay, great.
That kind of stuff doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but it bothers a lot of people, the idea of like doing something and then other people laughing at you because you messed up. So if there's a lesson, you apply the lesson. If there's not, then you just move on. That's it.
That's it. Everything's so simple to Evan all the
fear,
time.
It's simple. It may not be easy, but of course it's simple. Everything is simple. We make it complicated. I got to save this letter so that I don't. I'm going to put it on the floor so that.
You're going to forget it.
I know, right? I'm going to show up.
Go put it on top of your
No, it's on the floor.
The front door.
Trisana, don't eat that. Trisana, don't eat. Good girl.
Oh, great. Now you're worried. Now we're
Trisana,
introducing the risk of your dog eating your letters.
Don't. Hey. Okay, good girl. Yeah, don't worry. I got my eye on it. You gotta make sure.
This is a terrible idea. You're introducing all kinds of risk, and if the dog eats it, you're going to be embarrassed.
That's the best. It's the best. Anyway, the fear of embarrassment is the bigger thing that I think most people prevents them from taking action. The fear of embarrassing yourself, of failing in front of other people, right? We're not afraid of failing, in front of other people. That fear of embarrassment needs to be the thing that you attack every day, because I think that's where most people live. Not that I actually did something and I am embarrassed. It's I'm worried that I will be embarrassed if I try, so better to not do anything. But I know I'm capable of doing this, and so I'm just going to stay small knowing that I'm capable of more. That's the bigger problem that most people face. And so the answer is through. It's funny. So tonight, hopefully, I'm going to Brendan Burchard's thing in Puerto Rico, right? This is his private mastermind. I mean, I don't know how much you have to pay to get in and do it, but there's going to probably be a couple hundred people at least there. The last Brendan Burchard event I went to was a couple thousand people in Phoenix, for thegrowth.com. And there was a guy who came up afterwards and said, hey, you said something on stage about you owning a dance studio. Do you dance salsa? It's like, yeah, I dance salsa. It's like, man, I dance salsa too. This is great. This is more wild than the fact that you're an entrepreneur and do YouTube. I can't believe I meeting another salsero. And this guy is like hardcore Latin. He's telling me about all the competitions he's won and all the fancy moves he's done. It's like, okay, great. And then I feel my heart beating because in my head I'm thinking, you know what? No, we're in this.
This guy's probably amazing.
Yeah, first of all, this guy's probably amazing. Probably way better than I am. Whatever. I don't mind so much about that. But I'm outside the stage. We're in the hallway. There's like people are flowing out. People are lining up to ask me questions. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to ask this guy to dance.
Nice. So who's going to lead? That's the real uncomfortable question, right?
Yeah. Well, so I hesitated for like 8 seconds, and then said
8 seconds.
Yeah.
8 seconds.
I'm thinking because he's talking. I'm not going to interrupt him. He's talking, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to ask him to dance. And then I'm trying to pay attention to what he's saying. And then I say,
what I thought happened was silence for 8 seconds while you processed.
No. It's in the head, but I haven't interrupted him or said anything. So I said, okay, let's dance. And I said, I'll lead. And he was an okay follow. And then he messaged after to say, oh my God, I'm sorry, like I could have done better or the follow, I apologize or whatever. And probably I should have followed, but anyway. So the two of us are dancing, and in the salsa world, it's not that uncommon for guys to dance with guys. But in the real world, it's weird, you know? Like, what are these two dudes doing, dancing together and doing all these fancy moves and everything, right? So what? Great, lean into it and do it. It wasn't my best dance. It wasn't his best dance. But
Did you feel the need to show off?
No, it wasn't showing off. I mean, he.
No. I mean, did you, like, in that moment you're leading? Are you like thinking like, okay, I'm going to go from this to this? Are you playing it safe? Or you're like, I'm going to really try these combos that just really show how good of a dancer I am?
So whenever you're dancing with somebody, the most fun part is stretching them just a little bit beyond what they're capable of. And so when you're first dancing with somebody at the start, you don't know. You're just meeting together the first time. Now, I assume he's coming in at a decent level because he's a professional dance instructor and all this stuff. But just because you can perform well on stage doesn't mean that you can actually lead or follow well. It just means you're good at choreography. So there's a big difference. So I wanted to push him to see. There's always this dance. It's a dance. It's fun. It's a dance. There's always this kind of, not battle, but I guess an internal dance to see, as the leader, can the follower keep up? Like, do you know more than the follower does? So at the beginning, you're just playing out the intro moves and you see what they're doing. And then you ratchet it up to hopefully get to the point where, like, oh, okay, this is where the follower's ceiling is. But sometimes the follower's ceiling is your ceiling and you have nothing to challenge them. Like, you put your hardest moves out and then that's all I got. I got nothing else. So you can follow anything, at least anything that I know how to do, right? And it doesn't happen that often, but it happens. It happens. So now, I'm sure he's a great lead, right, and a great choreographer. He wasn't keeping up with all of the moves I was doing, so I played it medium, right? We didn't go advanced. And he's on carpet, and we don't have the right shoes, and all, right? But the point is, I was nervous about it, and you get the idea, and you just go off and do it. And it ended up being, it wasn't terrible. It ended up being great. He's still, like, mind blown that I know how to dance salsa. And people watched and clapped at the end of it. Awesome. When you feel embarrassed, you lean in and you do it. That's like the core of a ton of the content that I've been putting out, we've been putting out. Ooh, is that lunch? What is that? Is that for me? Look at this. We got some, Nina just brought in some amazing eggs. Eggs with salt and pepper. Mm.
Are they poached? Poached eggs?
See, you're about to get really angry at me, but then you saw the eggs and you got excited.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Because I'm starving right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not 2 o'clock. You got to wait till 2.
Yeah.
That's for me.
So, yeah. So that's how that you lean in. You're potentially embarrassed. You lean in. What would you do if you knew that you wouldn't be embarrassed? There was a great question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, the version of that Dr. Tess asked me was not what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail, but what would you do if you knew you were good enough? Slight tweak on it. Yeah.
What if you know you're good enough? See, now I get into my own head. What if you know you're good enough, but you're still afraid anyway? Or maybe you're afraid of being too good. Maybe you're afraid of being too successful. Maybe you're afraid of changing, all of those other things.
Like Drager does things he's afraid of.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Like, somebody asked me yesterday on Twitch about that, and it's like, this is the mind, this is what I tell myself. Maybe it's crazy, maybe it only works for me, but when I'm nervous or I'm afraid and I catch it, I say, Evan Carmichael does things that he's afraid of. That's what I'm like, I'll yell it at myself inside. I'm not actually yelling it, but inside my head, I'll be like, that's what I'm doing, right? And I'm telling myself,
I say it out loud.
Inside my head, yeah. So you say it out loud, great. Mark's running on this treadmill, yelling his face off, amazing. I yell it to myself that I do, like, I'm nervous about dance, asking this dude to dance with me, great. I do things. I'm Evan Carmichael, are you kidding me? Like, that's the tone I take with myself. If you've ever seen me rant against Mark, and we're working on if you watch the 8 minutes of Evan yelling at Mark, 2019 version, my team's working on the video version of it.
Your voice goes so high.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So everything that I'm like yelling at Mark, take my biggest yelling moments, and that's probably as hard as I go on people for the most part. That's the constant conversation in my own head towards myself. And I think that's good. So yeah, you do difficult things. You do things that you're afraid of.
Yeah, I say that. I do hard things.
Yeah, you do things that you're afraid of.
I also remind myself that I'm not a loser, and I better pick up the pace. Just to prove to myself that I'm not a loser, because I often fall in the trap of telling myself that I am.
Right. Well, that like changing the conversation in your head is really important. It's celebrating the effort. It's saying, hey, this is great. Look what I'm doing today. Anything.
So, because you're so comfortable sharing stuff, even if I were to ask you for an embarrassing moment or an embarrassing story, and I think we told one back in the spring on this podcast, but do you think you could even find an embarrassing story that actually embarrassed you because you're so comfortable sharing stuff at this point?
I'd have to catch it. Like if I catch it, it doesn't mean that I'm not, as soon as I go to service, then it's not embarrassing anymore. Embarrassing. As soon as I can bring it to the conscious, it's not embarrassing anymore. Right? Yeah. The whole Tony Robbins fist bump story, right? I was embarrassed by it. But then as soon as I turn it to service, it's not embarrassing anymore.
Right. Like, where he went to go give you a fist bump and you thought he was giving you a hug or something, or what happened?
Oh, no. So when I went, I guess it wasn't with you? No, who did I go? No, it was with you.
Alex?
No, it was with you.
Oh, yeah.
It was with you.
For the hugs, you mean?
No, that too. No, not that. Okay. So at Tony Robbins, he's got a team of like 20 security guards who rotate around the stadium. So they have to be there all day so that you're not just sitting in one spot the whole day. Every like 5 to 8 minutes, they're on some schedule, they rotate.
They switch.
And they're all in black and they're all serious and they're not, I mean, they have a hard job where everybody's like jumping up in front of them and they're just like British royalty guards just sitting there like can't get involved or anything. But what they do is as they're subbing out, so one security guard will go walk to the next security guard. As they get close, when they get up to them, they do a little fist bump, like a little incognito, like just down below. I keep hitting my head on this thing. A little fist bump to each other, right?
Just
but low.
Just say
just like you're next, go, right?
Tapping you out.
No emotion. It's not like pound it, bro. It's just super chill like this. So I thought this is cool. So
it was with me when we were there together.
So Mark and I are in the front row, right? So we're seeing the security guard like right in front of us, and so I'm seeing this happen the whole time. So my head is, I'm gonna fist bump the security guard. I get very excited by this.
See, you probably don't remember, but right now in the pit of my stomach, I feel terrible because I have an embarrassing moment tied to this exact same thing.
Okay, great. So then, now I have anxiety of like, oh my God, what if the security guard doesn't fist bump me back? And so for the next 5 minutes, I'm waiting for the next security guard to come, totally ignoring what Tony's saying, even though he's like right in front of us, kind of, spitting and everything. Yeah,
just like fire.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for and then the next guy comes. He's like, this is it. This is my chance. Okay. Okay. We're gonna do it. They do their own fist bumps. Like, okay, this guy also fist bumps. I know he fist bumps. I saw him do it. Now he's receiving it. It's happening. It's great. He looks at my hand and walks on by. And I feel like, oh my God, I just got rejected by the security guard. And then my first thought is, who saw that? Did people see that? Did people see me just get destroyed by this in my head? Destroyed! I got destroyed by the security guard. Right? Nobody cares. I cared. Destroyed me. And then, as soon as I thought, this is all like the subconscious automatic patterns. As soon as I thought of, wait a minute, I'm gonna keep doing it until I get a fist bump back. Then I changed the story in my head that people who are watching me who might have laughed the first time, they're going to be impressed by my effort and then be celebrating when I finally get one. Even though nobody cares. Nobody saw it. Nobody's watching me. Nobody's laughing or impressed. But the story I tell myself is they will be impressed once I finally get that fist bump, and I'm going to keep going. Right? I'm going to turn that laughter into what? Inspiration. So then it took it took a couple more times. I got rejected. I'm like now totally tuning out what's happening on stage. And then finally, this guy sits down. And I'm like, oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna make eye contact during the 5 minutes. I'm gonna we're gonna do some NLP on him. He's sitting like this. I'm gonna sit like this. Then he comes by and he gives me a fist bump. He hesitates. He looks at it and then fist bumps me and moves on. Like, I am the greatest man alive, right? So it was highly embarrassing for me, but as soon as I caught that I was embarrassed, I turned it to service, and then it becomes not embarrassing. It becomes something to say, I'm Evan Carmichael and I'm amazing, right? Pat myself on the back. But I think most of us, myself included, Evan Carmichael included, default to living in the subconscious embarrassed mode. And the trick is bubbling it up to the conscious so that you can take the right action.
Yeah. See, I still feel terrible about that because I was beside you as you went through this, watching you. You told me about it. And so later that day...
Wait, did I tell you about it while it was happening? Like, I'm going to fist up this guy? Okay.
Yeah. We were in it together. The head security guard was walking by.
Okay.
Later that day, and it's in a high impact moment, and I step a little bit forward and I go like this, and he looks and he gives me a fist bump, and I go, yeah, he did it. And then you told me that in that moment that I said that, he gave like a terrible scowl.
Oh yeah.
Like that I had used him.
Yeah. He wasn't happy.
Like was trying to get a prize or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I was like, what? Like I still feel terrible. So that later, the next day, when we were finishing up, we did the meet and greet with Tony, and you did the photos. He was there. He's there. And I'm watching him, and I feel terrible about this. And I was like, I got to go say something to him. So I go up to him and I say, hey man, how's it going? He goes, good. You know, he's like trying to like check if everything's okay. I said, listen, yesterday you were walking by, I was standing here, I did this, I said this, I feel terrible. You had this face. He's like, no, what are you talking about? No, nothing. And I was like, no, I feel terrible. I have to apologize. And he's like, no, whatever. And I was like, okay, I felt better. And then we're walking away, and you're like, he's just saying that, Mark. I'm like, oh. So here is the great thing. I'm not embarrassed to share this, but I'm embarrassed that I said it, that was my reaction, that I made him feel terrible. He's living his life. He doesn't care that a year and a half ago some guy did that. But you told me that I made him feel used. And that was not my intention. And I feel horrible about it. As you're telling this whole story, I have something in the pit of my stomach telling me what a jerk I am. No,
you're not a jerk. You just did the best with what you had.
I made this person feel terrible. But I felt, you know, the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and I'm sweating and I'm breathing. I'm thinking, I got to go up to this guy and apologize because I got to make it right.
That's great.
But still, that's the type of embarrassment or shame I'm talking about. It's not embarrassment like I slipped and fell and people are laughing at me. I guess that's what we all worry about. But I think holding on to these things that were, maybe ashamed is the better word, but embarrassed that we did. I think holding on to these things is something that also holds us back, and we don't often think of it.
You learn, dude. I mean, I'm in my one-on-one with Tom Bilyeu, I called him Tom Bilyeu.
Hey, the series that we did together, in the very first line, you did not say my name right.
Yeah, whatever. That was. I was pumped by that flub. I called him Mark Drager.
Yeah, you love that.
I love that. Yeah. That's great. But I didn't know. It was Tom was like just getting the start. He just started Impact Theory. He had Inside Quest, but I didn't really know who he was, and I thought it was Tom Bilyeu. I mean, it looks like that's how it looks like it's being.
But he could be offended by Tom. It's Tom Bilyeu versus Bilyeu. Like what? You said it with a French accent.
No, not that he was offended or anything. Just that's not how he pronounces his name.
Maybe he likes it better.
Maybe, but and now, and I've done that a couple times with people whose names on like top tens and stuff. That I thought this is easy. Like, of course, it's how you pronounce it. And then, surprise, that D is silent. It's Mark Drager, you know. And so I asked my team to, if it's somebody we haven't done before, I need a pronunciation. I need a link to a pronunciation on their name so that we get it right. But that's after making a bunch of, embarrassing mistakes, saying it wrong, and getting destroyed in the comments. Like, oh my God, you pronounced his name wrong. And okay, great. I mean, I learned.
Cool. Well, anyway, I think you've given some good advice for how to push through. The whole, forgive yourself, you worked with what you had, you tell yourself all of these things that might work for you because you're special and healthy and a robot. But for those of us who still struggle with these things,
that's the lesson. Well, fine, it's tougher. Great, you do tough things. This is what you're seeing is years of doing that.
Yeah.
So it's just practice, repetition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. It's
You
tougher.
want to get to some questions?
Okay.
Unless you want to tell any more embarrassing stories.
No questions from the audience. Questions?
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing
Yeah.
an audience show too. Okay, great.
Let's do it.
We usually do the audience questions as a separate bonus
We do.
video.
And we normally do it on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Are we still doing tomorrow?
I don't think so. I'm not. Well, it depends. If I'm here, yes. My whole team is on alert because I have potential things all week, and Thursday especially is supposed to be like insane interview day. So my assistant is holding off on everything so that if I cross the border tonight, everything is canceled. We gotta move it all.
Okay.
But reposition. We'll figure it out. And if I don't get across, then double confirm me. Hey, making sure we're on for Thursday. Yeah, it's embarrassing, but whatever. It is what it is.
It's embarrassing. You're not really embarrassed.
Well, even thinking about I was embarrassed about not being able to cross the border, about having to cancel everything, all the partners that we connected with that were waiting for me to come, that we're doing partner deals with, my team who are around me, that's all embarrassing. But I messed up, right? I mean, we could have done something to prepare for it better. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. Never had an issue going across, and so you make it up as best you can and move on.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually that's true. I'm just thinking that I'm sitting here telling you that you shouldn't be embarrassed by it, but you are. And meanwhile, the things that I would be worried or embarrassed by, you'd be like, "What? That's so small. Whatever. Get over it." But you just hold on to the things that you hold on to. So
Great. You did the best with what you had.
I like it. Okay. How do you convince yourself that you do hard things, like say it over and over, and do it and prove it to yourself? And that's from Suki.
You're the prove it, something to prove guy. This is something to prove show.
Something to Prove podcast. I pluck out of my memory other things that I've done that are really, really hard. So for example, if something comes really easy to me, if something comes really easy to you, then you probably do a good job at it and you don't even realize that it might be challenging or hard because it just comes naturally to you. But then other people look at it and go, I can't believe that you were able to do that. Even though it's coming easy to you, it's kind of remarkable that you've done it. So for me, for example, I was working in my backyard building this giant wall around my pool that took me all of this time and all of this effort, and it was 90 feet long. It was a 90-foot retaining wall made out of block. What is happening? Yes, good work.
Both the towers are working normally. Can I have your attention, please?
I have to say it twice. It's it twice.
It's the best.
So good. Generators have to work, you don't have generators, it's a big problem.
I guess so.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So anyway, I was working on this wall. I was building this wall. It was out of my comfort zone. I didn't know I could do it, but I knew it. I had enough confidence to start. And then we're sitting in Tony Robbins, and we're talking about how I'm not disciplined, and I don't do hard things, and I can't make things happen, and I can't lose weight, and I can't be attractive, and I can't have a big business. I can't hire people. I can't find stuff. And then I went, you know what? I built that wall, right? I just spent the summer doing this thing that everyone thought I was crazy for. It looks really good. I did a really good job. I moved 50,000 pounds of concrete myself. I did it all myself. I did a professional job. If I could do that, I could go to the gym and get on a treadmill, or lose a few pounds, or eat a little bit healthier, or hire the right person, or fire the person I need to fire, or hold myself to a higher standard. I did that crazy thing. And so that was literally just the thinking of, I did that, I could do this. And then I did that little thing. And then I went, well, if I could go to the gym twice a week, surely I can go to the gym 3 times a week. And if I could walk through an entire workout, surely I can start running a little bit. And if I could go on a diet where I eat a little bit less, surely I can go to keto. And if I go to keto, surely I can. And suddenly, in the last year and a half, I have now 40 different examples that I could pluck when I need to, of me proving to myself what I'm capable of doing.
Do you still do that now?
Yes, I have to.
So if somebody said, hey, Mark, I want you to speak at this, insanely big, you want you to speak at Inbound next year, do you want to come, and you're hesitant and nervous, you're going to say what to yourself?
I'm going to say yes.
Right.
and then worry about working out the details yet later because I need to think big and I need to be bold and I need to say yes. So I'm going to say yes. But then the week before the event, the day before the event, the morning of the event, it's too late to back out. I have to do it.
Yeah.
But if I'm having trouble catching my breath or getting my heart rate down or even speaking without my voice cracking because I'm just so nervous, one, it's not really that big of a deal if I screw up. But two, yeah, I can think about the fact that I didn't think I was capable of, even now, right? Like I lost a lot of weight. I lost 50 pounds. I've put on muscle and I've gained 8 pounds back. And I'm still somehow telling myself that I'm now, like, I hit the bottom of my journey and now somehow I'm moving back up and I'm on the road to getting back to gaining 50 pounds. When really I've gained probably like 4 or 5 pounds of muscle and I've gained back 4 or 5, 8, whatever, 3, 4, or 5 pounds of maybe fat or whatever. But even now I tell myself that I can't lose the weight again. But I've already proved to myself that I can lose the weight. And even now I tell myself I can't stick to the diet, even though I've stuck to a diet for 9 months, and that I can't get up on stage and speak, and that I can't answer questions properly, or that I shouldn't have, like every day. I don't know how to not fall back into that trap.
So my method is, I think, a little bit faster and maybe not right for people, but I don't think there's a specific example. Why are you laughing?
Not right for my method, which is super quick because I'm amazing at this, is X. It might not be right for people because it's basically God level.
I didn't, well, fine. It's not the intent. I don't think of a specific example. It's really just getting myself into, as soon as I've trained myself that as soon as I say scary, difficult, or hard, that's a trigger. There's no thinking. You have to do it. If I say scary, difficult, or hard, if I catch myself I'm sure I think it all the time and don't catch it. That's different. But if you catch it, catch yourself saying scary, difficult, or hard. If I see myself writing a message to somebody, if Mark is giving me a strategy and I write, oh, that sounds really hard, as soon as I wrote it, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, now we got to do it. Like, just because. And so then it's moving into immediate action. Like, you feel it, you say, I do difficult things, I do scary things, I do hard things, and then whatever the next immediate step is, you do it. So what I meant by faster is I'm not thinking of, well, I did this and so I can do that. It's difficult, scary, hard. I said it, therefore I have to do it just because. Let's go. And then immediate action. Say yes to the contract, get on stage, whatever. You may not be able to do the macro thing, but like whatever the next step is to get closer to achieving the goal, you just do it.
I do that second part. It's the, like we were looking at our services and there were 2 services that we haven't figured out yet. And we haven't figured out the economics of it. We haven't figured out to hire the people. We haven't figured out anything. But I told the team to go ahead and like not only start selling it and start advertising it, start talking about it, but it's like, yeah, we do that. Now, a team member could say, how do we do it? I don't know how we do it yet. But if we wait to figure out how to do this, we're never going to start talking about it, doing it, selling it, or what have you. So I don't know. I'm scared. I've been waiting a year, blah, 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 whatever. Great. It's a service we now do. Right? I want to have lunch with Evan. I'm going to email you and say, Evan, let's have lunch next Thursday. I don't know if I have time for lunch next Thursday. I don't know if you have time. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I'm going to be ready to ask you the question that I need to ask you to figure out the things that we need to figure out, but I'm going to try and book the lunch because then when it's just booked, I'm going to say yes to the speaking thing because then you said yes and there's no backing out. I try to put myself in position where I force myself, like I can't back out, so I have to move forward. Like I proactively do that.
I think
because otherwise I will just sit around and waste time.
Yeah, I think, as you're talking, I'm thinking more about your plan, and I think my plan is better because you can easily tell yourself, well, I lost 50 pounds, or well, I built that retaining wall, but this is different. Mm-hmm. This is different. This isn't speaking on stage in front of my mentor. This isn't whatever. As soon as you default to logic as the way out, your brain will find, not always, but it's easy for your brain to find really smart reasons why you still can't do it, even though you've done difficult things before. Mm-hmm. And so relying on a logical solution to an emotional problem is super dangerous.
I hear you. Maybe that's the struggle I have. But we went to Tony Robbins. The first time I worked on, I can't, my limiting self-belief. I can't be healthy or attractive. I can't be disciplined. I don't have it. That was the last one. I don't have it. I want something that's big, and I'm not smart enough. I'm not fast enough. I don't have it. Those seemed really big and scary. We went back 6 months later to Tony Robbins, and suddenly just the thought, like even the exercise of writing the limiting self-beliefs was laughable, because I struggled to come up, I didn't struggle to come up with things that I thought would be hard. I struggled to put myself back into a place where I thought that I couldn't overcome it. I can't be a good father. Well, no, I probably can. If I just dedicated this and I did this and even 6 months afterwards, after picking a moment and saying, I did that, I could do this, and then all of these little wins stacked on top, as much as if you go back and listen to Mark Hates' Life from May podcast episode where I was depressed again and all of these things, even though I have these ups and downs and moments and all of this stuff, if I actually sat down to do the exercise of what I couldn't do, they all start to seem small and laughable, and you can kind of poke through really, really quickly when you realize the last things that you have done.
I just think it's from you constantly proving to yourself that you have the identity of I am the person who thinks big, says yes, is bold. You've developed that identity more than
the fact that you can't remember it.
Yeah, means that it needs to get better. Exactly. It's too long, for sure. But whatever.
Big, bold, yes. There we go.
That's already better. Big, bold, yes is already better. But I think you might be giving too much credit to the logic. And I think it's a tool, but I think it's a blunt tool, because I think people will find really smart reasons why they can't do something and tell themselves, but this is different, as opposed to I'm going to do it just because it's hard.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. Here's another question on this tangent. How can you increase your courage?
Am I first?
Evan?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the same thing. By doing. The more, first off, you're never going to be fearless. You're just capable of taking on bigger challenges, right? If you're fearless, then you're only doing things you know how to do. Ergo, you hate your life. Back to Mark's.
Ergo.
No? It fit?
Sure.
Ergo, you hate your life.
It's very lawyerly.
Well, I just read a crazy lawyer letter. I'm in lawyer mode, maybe. Yeah.
Ergo.
So the idea of being fearless.
How embarrassing that you would use that in a sentence.
I'm fine. I'm actually proud of myself. The idea that you're going to be fearless is not something to ever strive for. The fact that there's something that scares you is great. It's then attacking it. And on the other side of that will be the growth, and then there'll be some new scary thing, right? What's the mountain quote? Beyond the mountain is more mountains? I love that so much. I forget who said it now. It's an African saying or something. Beyond the mountain is more mountains. It's good. You don't want to stop climbing. It's a forever game. You're just capable of doing bigger things. And so courage is every time you get faced with something that is fearsome to you, you jump in and you do it and you say yes. So that's along the same lines as what we were just talking about around embarrassment. You're scared to do it. I'm the kind of person who does the things that I'm scared to do. That's how you build up your courage. Mark?
I think that you answered that beautifully.
That's why you go first, Drager. Jesus. Okay, next.
No, well, I do have something that you don't like, but I like playing into the excitement of things. I like knowing that on the other side of it, how you're going to feel. Right? So I can use time, we can use time to try and fast forward yourself to how you're going to feel, either regret or embarrassment, or like you are the king of the world or the queen of the world. And so when I'm doing something that scares me, I'm afraid of heights. And yet, we go treetop trekking and you're 150 feet up in harnesses and all this stuff. I just think of how I'm going to feel knowing that I did that, and how amazing it's going to be on the other side of it. And so I try to project or fast forward to that feeling, and then that just gets me excited to try and go out there and do it.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous self-talk.
Most of what I believe and suggest, Evan thinks is dangerous.
I think I think the message to yourself is, I'm afraid of this thing, and so I need to trick myself to.
I'm not suggesting that you tell yourself, I'm scared. No, I'm really excited. What I'm saying is, you know what? I've never done this. If I were to go run a marathon, I would be really nervous. I'd be really scared. I'd be really worried. But imagine those last 100 yards. Imagine it. Your legs are hurting, your breathing's hurting, you feel in pain, everything, but you got the wind on your face, it's sunny, the people are cheering, you see you have 100 yards left, you see that you've just done this thing that you have never done, that you didn't know you're going to do, and you cross the finish line, and you are so proud of that person who did it.
And what if you don't make it across the finish line?
Then you're proud of the effort for trying. But the feeling of being proud of yourself and making it happen will get me to start.
I think it's just like the other one. It's decent. It's just not as strong. If you taught yourself that Mark Drager does bold, big things and says yes, that's it. That's enough.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I will arrive there, but you got to start somewhere.
Sure, if you want a slower path,
all
great.
All of us normal people, Evan.
No, that's not true.
Need the bridge.
I think I'm just giving them a faster bridge. This is the bridge. I'm giving them a shortcut bridge. You're giving them the long, winding, treetop trekking bridge. I was like, here, just take this step over here. That's the bridge. I agree. I just think it's faster. I think this is faster. I think in that process, you're going to have to unwind pieces of it. You learn the coping mechanism.
Here's the problem with your thing if it's too early. I'm Mark Drager. I do hard things. My brain immediately tells me that that's not true.
Your brain can tell you it's not true. No, but your brain can tell you it's not true.
That's not true. You don't do hard things. What are you talking about? You're tired and you're hurt and you screwed up over here and you did this, and so the whole Mark Drager does hard things is something that for me I had to grow into. Because most of the time, my brain will respond with, what are you talking about?
So then you're not
doing it. Look at all these times that you did.
You're not doing it. I'm cutting the brain out of the process. There is no brain. You're letting your brain get involved, which is the mistake. You're using your brain to help you to say, I've done this before, but it could still just as easily come back and say, you've never done it like this, so you can't do this. Which means you can only do incremental steps. Because you need to prove to yourself in a kind of related context that you've done it before, so then now you can do it again. I want to cut the brain out. You said it, therefore you do it. Ergo, you do it. Go. There is no brain. The brain is out of the equation. The brain is out of the equation. The problem is your brain. We agree on that. The problem is when you say you're going to do something, your brain tells you you're not going to do it. So we eliminate the brain and you just do it. I do difficult things, and then right away do it. It's a trigger. The reason it's a trigger is because you don't have to think about it. When I'm writing to Mark, oh, that's hard, and I get pissed off because I wrote the word that's hard, now I have to do it just because.
I'm curious, what were you going to write back that's hard?
No, I don't know. Just in general. That's what I'm doing to myself, I want people to do to themselves, where you trigger yourself into action because your brain is going to hold you back. Because your brain is designed to keep you in a practical, logical, safe world that you already know. But that's not where you want to actually be.
I want to do what you're saying. I don't know how yet.
I just told you.
I want to do what you're saying. I just don't practice it yet.
Great. So, but the beautiful thing is you can practice it every day. What are you afraid of doing? Great, we do it. Let's go. Let's go do it. Your brain is the enemy.
I love it.
Your brain is the enemy until it becomes the ally. Once you've decided, your brain helps you. Once Mark's decided, I want to speak on 20 stages this year, before he's decided, his brain can easily say, I can't do that. I haven't even spoke on like 2. How am I going to go off and do that's nuts. I got a business to run. I got all of these things why you can't do it. That's what the brain will do to you. But once you've decided to say, no, this is happening, then your brain says, okay, he's serious, so we got to figure this stuff out because I got something to prove.
I think we all do.
Right? All right. That's a wrap. I got to go have a shower and then see if I can catch my plane.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Evan.
If you want to see an insane, valuable video of how we restructured Mark's business, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and we'll see you there.
And on this week's episode, we have a pretty long conversation.
Two-parter. Mark leaves me in the middle of it to go do something else that he thought was more important.